Before our pockets buzzed with smartphones and our lives synced across invisible clouds, there was a time when digital organization felt almost magical. Do you remember the quiet thrill of tapping a plastic stylus against the world's very first digital planner, the Palm Pilot? Its gentle, metallic click and tiny monochrome screen promised order in the chaos of calendars, addresses, and to-do lists. In the late 90s, the Palm Pilot arrived as a pocket-sized marvel, a sleek rectangle that turned palm smudges into success stories. Each handheld device carried the faint scent of new electronics, and each graffiti stroke felt like writing your name in a new digital age. For many, that soft, synthetic beige casing was more than just plastic. It was a ticket to feeling in step with the future. But what was it that made these early personal digital assistants more than just gadgets? Why did they become symbols of efficiency, status, and even connection? As we revisit the rise and eventual fall of the Palm Pilot, you might be surprised by the memories that resurface and the ways this tiny device shaped how we live and work today. Ready to rediscover the tactile world of 90s tech? Imagine it's the mid-1990s. The internet is a slow, mysterious gateway reserved for the patient and the curious, and computers are still humming away atop our desks, not stowed away in our pockets. Life's details, birthdays, meetings, phone numbers, are scribbled in paper planners, sticky notes, or, for the especially organized, a stack of index cards secured together with an elastic band. Some folks kept a leather-bound filofax close at hand. Others relied on memory and a well-placed refrigerator magnet to keep their lives on track. There was a certain comfort in flipping a page or scribbling a last-minute grocery reminder, but the truth is, America was on the brink of change. The early 90s were humming with the promise of digital convenience, though most of that hum belonged to personal computers and the startup chime of big, boxy desktops. Back then, mobile phones were for the lucky or the business elite, heavy, brick-like things with limited abilities. The idea of carrying an entire calendar, address book, and notepad in your pocket was still the stuff of science fiction. Yet, the world was getting ready for a new kind of device, a personal digital assistant, or PDA, that would slip effortlessly between our pens and papers, quietly revolutionizing the way we organized our days. But before the Palm Pilot swept in, there were earlier attempts to wrangle the chaos of daily life into a digital format. Devices like the Cyan Organizer and the Apple Newton paved a challenging, bumpy road in the late 80s and early 90s. Did you ever hear about the Newton's infamous handwriting recognition hiccups? Many users, hoping to speed things up, found themselves stymied by a PDA that couldn't read their own notes, sometimes with comically disastrous results. The Newton's failure to read even tidy print became the butt of tech jokes, and despite its innovative touch interface, it struggled both with bulkiness and a steep price tag. Meanwhile, the more utilitarian-looking Cyan Organizer, popular in Europe and among engineers, simply didn't offer the sleek, user-friendly experience folks craved. Against this backdrop, the Palm Pilot's creators, Jeff Hawkins and Donna Dubinsky, set out with a different vision. Hawkins famously constructed a wooden block, carving it to fit comfortably into his pocket and palm long before a single circuit was designed. Each day, he'd pantomime using it, scribbling, tapping, or scrolling, to imagine how this digital organizer could flow naturally with human habits. Imagine seeing someone in a mid-90s boardroom absent-mindedly miming notes into a block of wood. That's how determined Hawkins was to create not just a piece of new technology, but a seamless extension of the brain's memory and the hand's natural movement. By 1996, the time was ripe. Businesses were running at a faster pace, and the average American was starting to feel the strain of overlapping responsibilities. Did you know the US economy was in the midst of one of its longest growth spurts during this era? The 90s buzzed with optimism and busy schedules. The digital revolution was moving in and everyone wanted to keep up. Yet the average person still struggled to carry all the necessary information from meeting to meeting. Then came the original Palm Pilot, named more for its fit in the hand than any reference to tropical getaways. Sleek, unassuming, and astonishingly intuitive, it weighed about as much as a deck of cards and could fit into a shirt pocket. It didn't promise to replace your PC or do everything at once. Instead, it focused sharply on solving a handful of everyday headaches, appointments, contacts, notes, and tasks, each accessible with just a tap, or i.e., gentle, stylus-driven scribble. But what truly set the Palm Pilot apart wasn't just its clever interface or tiny size. For the first time, a PDA recognized that users didn't want to learn a new, complicated way of writing. They wanted their scribbles to just work. Unlike the Newton's temperamental handwriting recognition, Palm introduced Graffiti, a simplified yet surprisingly effective alphabet you could master in an afternoon. Do you recall tracing those odd, angular shapes, learning to write A's without the crossbar and T's with a single upward stroke? For many, Graffiti turned entering an appointment into something almost meditative, even a little fun. Here's something you might not expect. The first Palm Pilots had just 128 kilobytes of memory, less than the size of a single digital photograph today. Yet people felt as if they held a small universe of information. How did we become so efficient with so little space? Maybe because in those days we were used to making every bit and every minute count. There's a subtle beauty in that kind of minimalism. The Palm Pilot didn't arrive in a vacuum. Its debut was perfectly timed with a shifting culture. The American workplace was transforming, with more people choosing flexible hours, working from home, or juggling multiple gigs. Suddenly, you could sync your Palm Pilot with your home computer, transfer your work calendar on the fly, and walk into a marketing meeting feeling like you were a step ahead. Did you ever have the feeling, pen and stylus in hand, that you were finally gaining the upper hand over the chaos of modern life? For many, that sense of control was intoxicating. What happened next surprised even seasoned tech watchers. Palm's devices didn't just sell, they flew off shelves, sometimes outpacing supply. Over 1 million units sold within just over a year. In fact, stories from 1997 tell of shoppers standing in electronics store aisles, charging their Palm Pilots from demo stations before racing off to their next appointment, all in the days before smartphone chargers crowded our outlets. Have you ever found yourself longing for the simplicity of those early digital days when a single device felt like a treasure chest of possibilities, not a source of endless notifications? But that's not all, because the Palm Pilot story is much more than a tale of clever engineering and fortunate timing. As we'll see, the device was about to evolve far beyond its original humble promise. The next step? Transforming how we thought about connection and eventually changing expectations for everything we carried in our pockets. So, what innovations were just around the corner for Palm, and how did they influence the tech we can't imagine living without today? Stay with me as we venture into the unfolding years of the Palm Pilot's remarkable journey. As we look back on the Palm Pilot era, it's remarkable to consider just how much this little device shaped the path from the analog world into the digital age. We've traced its journey from early brainstorming sessions and that famous wooden prototype to a handheld marvel that put calendars, addresses, and notes at your fingertips with unprecedented convenience. Its Graffiti handwriting system may have looked odd at first, but for many of us it became second nature, a private shorthand for keeping life in order. In those formative years, syncing a Palm Pilot with a desktop computer was nothing short of a revelation. Suddenly, information moved seamlessly between home, office, and wherever life took you. The wood-paneled dens and carpeted offices of the late 90s gained a new sense of rhythm as beeps and reminders replaced scribbled notes and forgotten appointments. It's easy to forget just how empowering it felt to have your entire schedule in your shirt pocket and your colleagues' numbers at the swipe of a stylus. With time, the Palm line expanded and innovated, growing sleeker and smarter through models like the Palm 3 and Palm Phi, devices that brought new features and a distinct sense of status. For many, the Palm Pilot wasn't just a gadget, it was a symbol of embracing the future, a trusted partner in the daily whirlwind of tasks, birthdays, and pressing business deals. It quietly introduced us to concepts we now take for granted: mobile syncing, over-the-air updates, and even pocket-sized games for a quick break between meetings. And along the way, it inspired a wave of creativity, from early digital doodling to the rise of apps long before that word became a household term. But perhaps what made the Palm Pilot so fondly remembered isn't merely its technology, it's how it made us feel capable, prepared, even a little futuristic, without overwhelming us. Before our pockets were crowded by email notifications and social media chatter, the Palm Pilot brought a refreshing kind of order and focus. There was a certain pride in seeing a meeting reminder pop up, knowing you hadn't forgotten the day's obligations. And when we think about those stylus taps and those satisfying moments when a to-do list cleared, it calls up the earnest optimism of a world on the cusp of digital transformation. How do you remember your first encounter with the Palm Pilot or another early handheld device? Was there a favorite feature, a trick you mastered, or a moment when you realized this was more than just a pocket planner, a piece of the future right in your hand? I'd love to hear the stories, tips, or treasured memories your Palm Pilot holds. Share them in the comments below and join the conversation. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more nostalgic journeys into the technology, culture, and everyday moments that shaped our lives. And if you know someone who still reminisces about tapping out memos or prides themselves on mastering graffiti, share this video and keep the memories alive. There are many more flashbacks and forgotten treasures to rediscover together in episodes to come. So let's take a moment to appreciate that brief, shining chapter when a simple grey rectangle bridged the gap between paper and the digital world. The Palm Pilot may be gone from our pockets, but for a generation it left a lasting imprint, not just on technology but on how we imagined and shaped the future. Here's to the quiet thrill of discovery, the satisfying scribble of a stylus, and the promise of simple solutions in a fast-changing world.